In this video, I'm putting on my ETH hater hat and building the strongest case that I can against Ethereum. Now, before you get mad at me, this isn't some Bitcoin maxi rant. I actually love Ethereum. It's my favorite blockchain out there. The reason I'm making this video is to challenge my beliefs and prove to you that I can be unbiased. So while you watch this video, do let me know if there's anything you agree or disagree with. Okay, so when I went digging for arguments against Ethereum, I found like 20 different ones. But you know what's interesting? When I started to organize them, I noticed that they fell into three main buckets. The first one being their move to proof of stake. Wait, what? How's that a bad thing? Ethereum now consumes 99% less electricity than before. Well, that is true, but there are also several negatives that come from that change. For example, it makes Ethereum way more centralized than before. So when ETH moved from proof of work to proof of stake, they went from miners to validators running the network. In theory, validators are cool because you don't need expensive graphics cards to run one. All you need is your personal laptop to run the software. But in practice, it's actually very hard to be a validator because A, you need to stake at least 32 ETH. And even with these low bear market prices, that's still like $32,000. And B, there's something called slashing, which is meant to protect the network from malicious validators. But it also means that you could lose some of your staked ETH if you make an honest mistake, like accidentally misconfiguring your validator software. So yeah, it's not easy to be a validator, and that's why people go with third-party staking services such as Lido or Coinbase. This isn't just hypothetical, by the way. If we look at the staking pool charts, we see that the top four entities, Lido, Coinbase, Binance, and Kraken, control 60% of all staked ETH. That's crazy centralized, and that's not good because one of Ethereum's biggest selling points was its decentralization. Now, one side effect of this centralization is that Ethereum is now censorable, and this isn't just some general philosophical concern. It's a very specific problem affecting Ethereum. So Ethereum validators are in charge of block production. They choose transactions, they order them, and they create a block to add to the chain. To do all that, they run a software program that automates the process. And one popular option that many people go with is called MEV Boost, which is created by a group called Flashbots. The reason people like to use MEV Boost is because it helps them rearrange transactions in a way that makes them some extra money. So what's the problem with that? It seems harmless, right? Well, the problem is that Flashbots is compliant with the US Treasury's OFAC rules, and they code their software in a way that respects the blacklists from that agency. And the OFAC has been busy blacklisting a lot of things, like every address that's interacted with Tornado Cash in the past. Remember that whole ordeal? Now, this is actually an enormous problem because we saw the number of OFAC compliant blocks top out at 80% recently. And that means the vast majority of Ethereum blocks are actively censoring transactions. Now, to be fair, this doesn't mean that the blacklisted addresses can't send transactions anymore. They still can, but they just have to wait for a validator that's not using that software to process their transaction, and that could take a while. The Ethereum devs do know about this criticism, by the way, and they're looking to re-architect the system in a way that makes this censorship impossible. But in terms of the here and now, censorship is a huge problem. Okay, so we got centralization and censorship, but there's actually one more problem that comes from this whole move to proof of stake, and that's the fact that ETH may now be a security because of it. I mean, Gary Gensler has long refused to clarify if ETH is a security or not. But now, Senator Lummis, who's a big Bitcoin bull, is saying that Bitcoin is the only crypto commodity. She said that she changed her mind because ETH has this staking contract that doesn't let people unstake whenever they want. So that makes it a security in her mind. Honestly, I don't really buy her argument, but it's not up to me. It's up to politicians like her and regulators like Rostin Behnam from the CFTC, who also said that Bitcoin was the only crypto commodity. Honestly, I hope that their views don't make it into law, because if ETH was declared a security, I think that would be nuclear Armageddon for the whole space. Down goes Coinbase, down goes the market into the Stone Ages. So yeah, I don't even want to think about that scenario. But don't you see all these massive problems, and they all stem from this one tiny move to proof of stake, which makes me wonder if the change was a mistake in the first place. Phew, that was a lot to digest. And that was only the first bucket of arguments against ETH. But before we get to the second and third buckets, I'm curious, are you feeling bearish on ETH at all? Well, if so, and if you want to short it, then one place you can do so is on Bybit, who's also the sponsor for our video. They are a well-known derivatives exchange that a lot of whales like to use. But please be careful with your leverage though, because I'm not trying to suggest that you go 100x short on ETH. I personally only use low leverage when I trade derivatives. Now, if you're not using Bybit yet, then you're in luck because you can get up to $30,000 in deposit and trading bonuses if you sign up using my link. And if you're new to shorting and don't know how to do so responsibly, then don't worry because I'm about to release a free guide where I show you how to short on Bybit step by step. I'll explain the basics and my personal strategy so you can learn how to hedge your portfolio and protect yourself during bear markets. Now, even if you think the bear market is about to end, you can still use what you learn in the future. So it's going to be super valuable. Stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, go sign up for Bybit using my link to get that bonus before it expires. Okay, so the first problem area was with proof of stake, but the second problem area has everything to do with Ethereum scaling plans. I mean, scaling is obviously good and Ethereum desperately needs it. But one big problem is that their decision to go with layer 2s and sharding breaks a very important property that Ethereum currently has, which is composability. Composability means that you can build dApps and protocols on top of each other. Like you can build a dApp that calls a function in another dApp that calls yet another function in yet another dApp. The end result is a brand new system that's more than the sum of its parts. That's why some people like to call them DeFi money Legos, because they can stack dApps on top of each other and unlock a completely new use case by doing so. But the problem is that if dApps move to different layer 2s or different shards, then they can't easily connect and coordinate with each other. So you won't be able to build the same systems as you could back when everything was on the Ethereum mainnet. Honestly, composability was something that made DeFi super special. So if Ethereum loses that with their future scaling plans, then that would be a huge bummer. But wait, there's still one more problem area to cover, and that's Ethereum's monetary policy. Remember all that buzz on Twitter about ETH becoming ultrasound money? The Ethereum community was super excited about how ETH would become net deflationary after the merge, and they were telling everyone about it. They said that ETH would become an even better hold than Bitcoin because while Bitcoin is disinflationary, it's never going to be deflationary. But that turned out to be false advertising because Ethereum is actually net inflationary right now a few months after the merge. Gas prices and usage have fallen a lot in the bear market. So the Ethereum network is not burning enough gas fees per transaction to outpace the amount of ETH that's being emitted for block rewards. Now, is that necessarily bad? No, it's not, but it does mean that one big narrative for ETH has gone out the window. And that actually leads me to another point, which is, do we even want ETH to be deflationary? I mean, the main purpose of ETH is to run the Ethereum network. We're supposed to use it to send transactions, interact with smart contracts, etc. So why would we want it to be digital gold like Bitcoin? Shouldn't it be digital oil instead? Well, if so, then it should be used constantly. In that case, maybe a deflationary monetary policy would not be ideal. But maybe this is all a moot point because Ethereum's monetary policy has changed so much over the years that we don't even know what's going to be like in the future for sure. Just look at this graph that shows Ethereum's emission rates over the years. It looks like some drunk person trying to sign their name. Point is, it's changed so much in the past that we can't really say for sure what it's going to be like in the future. We're at the whims of the Ethereum devs and their internal politics, which is not really ideal in the trustless world that we're trying to build here. Okay, so that was the hardest hitting case I could make against Ethereum. And now I only have one question for you. Are you bearish now after watching this? To be honest, I do think a lot of these are fair criticisms, but I personally still love ETH. And if you want to find out why, then watch this video where I share my ultra bull case for Ethereum.